Hey guys, so this is Jason Singh from Black Hole Tech, and today we have the RX 480 with us. As you know, it's a GPU released by AMD. It was released I think almost like 2 months back, but we managed to get ourselves a review unit, and this is the reference model of the RX 480. As you know, the boost clocks are around 1266 megahertz, and this comes in two variants, the 4GB variant as well as the 8GB variant. However, AMD has sent us the 8GB variant. Now the 4GB variant has memory speeds of 1750 megahertz, whereas the 8GB variant has a memory speeds of up to 2000 megahertz. So and it's GDDR5 memory. So the RX 480 right now is based on new AMD's new architecture known as Polaris, and it does. They are other manufacturers are also putting reference PCBs and using the same chip, the RX 480. So you will get different other coolers and PCBs depending upon the manufacturer, such as Sapphire, MSI, XFX. So this is a reference AMD Radeon card, and when you come to the specs of it, it has 2304 stream processors and a 256 bus width. So yeah, coming back to the point, it's this graphics card performs quite similar to the R9 390. However, the power consumption of this is only 150 watts, and as you can see over here, there's a single 6-pin power connector. So it's very power efficient as compared to the R9 390, which delivers quite similar performance. So now the R9 390 did, however, come with a 512 bus width. This has been reduced to a 256 bus width, but it doesn't affect performance to such an extent where performance decreases tremendously. So AMD has managed to maintain quite a good balance between the hardware specs as well as the power efficiency and price to performance ratio. So yes, this 8GB variant of the card is available for at a price of rupees 26,000 in India, and the 4GB variant is probably available for around 22,000. So coming to the card, so as you can see over here, the card is pretty small, and it uses the blower type cooler. So this shroud over here, I've removed the screws on the shroud, so I'll be showing you what it looks like on the inside and how the air actually flows through this card and how the cooling performance is affected. So as you can see over here, here is the reference fan, and this blows air through the side of the heatsink, which passes over the VRMs. So over here, now AMD has gone a bit they have not slapped on a very high-end cooler. As you can see, this is just aluminum. There's no copper heat pipes, nothing on this GPU. And yeah, as you can see, you must be noticing that this kind of cooling is quite different from the other graphics cards you see, where a fan is normally positioned straight above the heatsink. Over here we have the fan at the side, blowing air through the side of the heatsink and then exiting from this portion. So yes, it is quite a bit different, but the cooling, for instance, considering the power consumption of the card, it doesn't overheat to such extents. Yes, at stock we'll probably see around about 80 degrees if the the core clock boosts to 1266 megahertz, but otherwise you see the max temp over here, the throttle limit on this card is 90 degrees by default. So over here at the when you come to the connections over here, we see that it has an HDMI as well as DVI ports, display ports, sorry. So you can accordingly connect depending upon which upon the monitor that you're making use of. So here, these are the VRMs, and it's got somewhat of a heatsink. However, this heatsink, it isn't copper or anything like that. And if you can see over here, you'll see that it does have some thermal pads under here, under the heatsink for the VRMs. And even you won't be able to see this, but the memory as well has thermal pads. So that's quite good as well. And the fan. Now the fan is a bit noisy when when you boost it up to its maximum frequency of 100%. It runs at around 5600 rpm. That's the max. Now that is a little too noisy. However, if you notice that if you keep the fan at a max speed of 75, or either you can set it through Wattman, which is AMD's new software specifically for the RX 480, or you can set it via MSI Afterburner or any other third-party overclocking utility which you normally make use of. And if you set it to 75, fan speed of 75%, you notice that the fan will run approximately around 3000 rpm, and it will not be as noisy as it is when it's at full 100%. So yes, coming back to AMD's Wattman, their software for the RX 480, you can overclock using that utility. It also gives you, it shows you, you can set it, it shows you the temperature of the card, shows you the clock speeds, the core frequency, as well as the memory frequency. You can overclock using that utility, or you can even go further and overclock using MSI Afterburner. Now there are quite a few things about this card which I would like to mention. Its performance, we are currently doing a written review on this. We have already been testing this card, and as you know, DX12 is the new thing in games, and yes, it performs like I would like to say, it performs head to head with the R9 390, and overclocking this card it's quite a task. Now I'll tell you why. It's not because of the card not being able to overclock very well. It's more to do with the cooler. For instance, if we slap on an aftermarket cooler or probably a liquid cooling solution, we probably see quite a boost in performance. Now I can tell you that if you're able to overclock this card with a decent amount of voltage, say like around 1.25 volts at the very max, or 1.3 even if you're pushing it, if you keep temps slow, you're probably going to see performance surpass the performance of the RX 480 surpass a 390. You might even see it surpassing a 390X at stock. So now that's quite a boost in performance for this card. And so far we've been enjoying this card, and yeah, it's giving us a pretty good performance in games, and this card is absolutely fine for a resolution of up to 2K, which is 1440p. But if you're gaming at 1080p, you're gonna have amazing performance. You'll probably be able to max out almost every game at around about 50 to 60 FPS. So do stay tuned for a written review of this card, and if you like the video, please like, please share and comment. Stay tuned for other videos. Until then, we'll see you next time. Thanks.